Good afternoon, Shaggy SoCal with 2Old4Forza, and after a few kind of weird issues, live issues, and then me trying to get my headset working again, and it just turned out there's a volume control on the headset that I accidentally must have turned down, so I couldn't hear anything in the game. But anyhow, after all of that, hopefully, hopefully we're back. So again, next TNT race in the Radical is going to be at Mugello Full. So I'll just take I'll probably do an out lap just to kind of refresh my memory a little bit. We'll do a slow lap around. Then I'll do a mock race, what I think will be about half distance, just to kind of see what the car does, things to look out for. So let's just get right into it. Oh, that's much better. I can hear the car now. My own test laps that I did a while last night and a little bit earlier this morning. I think the Mugello, the curbing is going to be, you guys are going to have a love-hate relationship with the curbing. Because there are some places you can definitely take a lot of curbing, other places you can't, and some places if you get a little too close, back of this car is going to want to step out. That's a little late. I think the last time we raced Mugello was in the Porsche Cayman GT4. And I think that card, even though it was a bit tricky, was a little more compliant over some of these curbs than the Radical. But I could be wrong. Okay, so we're going to start the slow lap back here. So obviously exiting out, you're going to wind this thing up into fifth gear and on the front stretch. Now, again, my normal line, if I've just a regular run, is just to kind of run along the right side. That way I can kind of take where the front straightaway kind of kinks to the right and kinks back to the left. You can just kind of take that straight across. Just be mindful then as you're kind of crossing back over the track. Again, if you've got somebody racing up on your left side, pay attention to who's beside you, and certainly through pit sequences, because the pit lane spits you right out on the right side. Just be careful of traffic merging back on. But coming down the front straightaway, fifth gear, what I'm finding is, braking lines, like I am braking a little bit into it, but that one board or that first white line is a good extra reference or static reference for the braking line, as far as something to keep your eyes out for. So you can brake a little bit past that. Usually I've been braking about here. You also notice, and this is something I'm going to point out a little further, if you look at, and again, I don't know how well it'll translate on the stream as far as how much detail you're getting, but if you look at the track right in front of me in the shade, you can kind of see just kind of dark spotches, kind of it's almost making the track look like it's striped, but you figure it's kind of where cars have bottomed under braking as they're trying to get into the corner. That's also going to be a good indicator, of like, hey, this is where the braking zone here at Mugello starts, because you can see those horizontal, dark patches going across the racing line. So usually for this, as I'm threshold braking, I am starting to bring the car into the corner a little bit, maybe a little sooner than what the braking line will suggest. Again, I think it's a bad habit of mine from dive bombing AI and into turn one. Oh, look, butterflies. I never noticed that before. So again, bringing it down in here, I'm dropping it to third. I think On my own, I think this is a third gear, turn one, you can do it in third gear pretty easily. If you're in traffic, you might drop it to second. It's up to you. Again, it'll really be your choice of how the car feels, especially as you're trying to get back to power. Hugging into, I usually hug the inside of turn one. I don't typically bring the car all the way back out on the exit of one. I actually like to try and keep it to the inside all the way through. And this is going to be a trend pretty much a lot through the lap of Mugello, that there's a lot of these left-right combos or right-left combos, and usually my philosophy is to sacrifice the first corner a little bit, as far as the exit, so that I have a better setup for the second part, because usually that's leading on to a longer straightaway. Now here, really, it's almost like three turns. I'm hugging the inside of I'm kind of compromising my exit of one so that I'm set for two. And usually then I'm bringing the car back across. And again, let me kind of mention the curbing. The curbing at Mugello is going to be a challenge, especially entry curbing, like the curbing here on the right side, is when it's one of those, either you got to stay off of it or you got to get on it. You can't, what I'm finding is, and where I've gotten in trouble is in just trying to give myself just a little bit of extra room as I'm turning in. If I've got the outside rear just on that transition from the asphalt to the curbing, it's going to unsettle the back of the car and it's going to kind of kick it out sideways. And then I've got to spend time kind of getting it back under control, then keep going. You might see it happen multiple times during the race. But it's like if you get on the curbing, like if you get solidly on the curbing, you've got a better chance of being able to turn in and transition off the curbing without unsettling the back of the car. So it's just one of those, you'll probably experience it as you do your practice laps and school nights and like that. But kind of back now to turn two here. Usually I like to kind of hug the inside of turn one all the way through so that I am set up on the left side for this next combo. Where I'm looking at turning in is that, that course condition light there kind of is a good indicator of where I'm going to turn in for this corner, and might be a slight break turning in. And if I can, I'll try and use a little bit of the inside curbing here. Again, since I'm rolling in, I'm really not, it won't be fully on the throttle or stabbing into the throttle where I'd have to worry about the rear tire spinning up and getting the back end to kick out. But coming out of this corner here, I'm trying not to bring it out further than half track. Ideally, I'd like kind of being more 2/3 of the way to the left on the exit, because it will open up this next corner onto the straightaway. And especially if you're trying to set up a pass, this does give you some options. If the guy in front of you, if he goes wide, you might be able to undercut him on the exit. Or if he's going to try and park it on the apex, you might have enough momentum to maybe hold an outside line around hold the outside line heading down to the next set of corners. Against the AI, I tend to look for the crossover. So again, you'll be rolling back in the throttle here slightly. You'll probably, as you roll in, you'll just probably ease off the throttle. Not really a lot of braking necessary. Again, bringing the car in, a little bit of a late apex, and then bring it out. You can, this exit curbing, you can cross over on it. It won't upset the car too much as you roll back into the throttle. Bring the car back across and heading down into the second of combos that you're going to be encountering. Looking for braking, I'm usually in the light poles here on the left side, and I think it's that final one. In addition, as you get down towards the braking zone, again, you can kind of see on the pavement the horizontal markings that would kind of indicate where cars have bottomed out under braking. So between that, the braking line, and looking for that change in pavement is a good indicator where you want to brake. So I think you'll probably, normally you would upshift to fourth. If you want to try and wind it out in third, you're going to be hitting the rev limiter right before this braking zone. So I think you're going to upshift to fourth and then back down to third here. Um, Again, be careful where your rear of the car is on this exit curbing. If you just get on it as you're turning in, again, you'll see the car just, the back end will just step out a little bit. So again, now we have a left-right combo. I have that same kind of general philosophy. I'm going to try and turn it in, eat a bit of this curbing, but have it on the left side as best I can. Ease off the throttle, help turn in, get on the curbing there a little bit maybe, and then bring it out. Again, another place to look for run out of the corner where maybe I'll try and undercut and pass the guy on their right side heading down to this into the next set of corners. Still third gear, up to fourth. Next set of corners here, I'm usually kind of referencing the corner worker stand and the orange discoloration of the barrier on the outside. Plus, you've also got the access road, the green pavement there. That'll kind of, between those and the braking line, you'll kind of get an idea of where you're gonna set up and brake just for this next set of corners. I don't recall, it's not a really heavy braking. It's usually just enough just to get weight on the front of the car into here in fourth gear. Again, another combo. So I'm always going to I'm going to risk cutting the course and try and cut it so that I wind up on the right side here. Opens up the left side. Opens up this left-hander. Again, fourth gear at this point. Since I'm coming through here and trying to get back to throttle, I'm trying to stay off this inside curbing. You can get close to it. If you just touch it, you might unsettle the car. Just be aware of that. Exiting out, you can bring it all the way back across. And this is where I'm still trying to sort out what the best ideal line is. Because really the exit for this one, it's what's the best exit here to help set up for the next two corners. I think the braking line wants you to come all the way out across and bring it back. My concern here is that these next set of corners, for me, I consider you're threading the needle with the curbing. And I'm still trying to figure out, I think my tendency is to bring the car most of the way out and bring it back across. The risk is, as you bring the car back across, as you're getting into your turn-in point, ideally I don't want to be really pointed to the left in relative to the outside line. I almost want to try, by the time I'm getting here, I'd rather the car, back it up here a little bit, as I'm reaching this outside curbing, I'd rather be parallel with it rather than angled. And again, it is kind of back to that, as I start to turn in, if I'm still angled, if I still have the nose of the car pointed left, I'm actually having to rotate the car more to get into this next corner. Plus, then I'm also running the risk of that line, that the line actually getting the left rear, just touching the curbing and sending the car sideways. So, if you can get the car back across and get it kind of, as you're reaching this outside curbing here on the left, and get it kind of parallel, that'll help set you up for it. You really want to stay, again, if you're going to get on the curbing, get on the curbing. Otherwise, again, where that transitions from pavement to curbing is treacherous. Turning in, you can go in with a bit of speed, and usually you're going to have to let off, and this is where I do use the braking line. It'll go yellow. That's usually, it's kind of the opposite. When it's going yellow, that's kind of where I'm easing off just a little bit to help get the car into the corner. I actually, for kicks and giggles, I did say, can you take it flat? No, you can't. You can turn in flat, but right about as you're getting the apex, you're going to have to let off, or else you're just going to push completely off off into the gravel on the left side. As you go through here, this is another one. If you barely touch the inside of the inside curbing here, it's gonna pitch the car out a little bit on exit. Just be mindful of that. Same thing on the exit curbing here. What you'll see me do is I'll usually bring the car out. I won't immediately cross over the curb, but as I set up for this next corner, usually I do, and this is kind of habits from other cars, is like I actually will try and cross over the curbing and use as much of this outside curbing as I can to set up for the next corner. Now, what I don't remember is if that inside tire barrier is going to be there or not when you guys actually race. If that gets removed with race regs. But the entry to this corner, usually I'm kind of gauging it. I'm probably looking at the braking line more than more static reference points. But usually it's about where the inside curbing is starting to go off the screen is where I'm turning in. And this is one where you will let off. You can turn it in pretty aggressively. I'll try and clip the curbing a little bit so that I have plenty of space on exit. Those two corners, the previous two left-handers, they're so fast. It's fantastic when you get them right, but they can, because of just how sensitive this radical is. On any kind of curbing, any kind of transition from the asphalt to curbing, can also be a nightmare if you get it wrong. It's out on the left side here. You'll still probably be in fourth gear down the short straight here. You'll be able to brake pretty late. Usually try and, as far as if you're trying to look for static things to look for in relation to the braking line, you've got the corner worker shack there that's just directly under the rearview mirror. You've also, I can't tell what that is, just above the yellow wall. You can kind of use that, kind of where those are at in relation to where this curbing on the left side starts with the braking line. You can kind of look at that and just say, when you kind of get into rhythm and where you're comfortable, like, hey, this is where I'm braking, let your eyes kind of then reference where those objects are in relation to when you're getting on the brakes, because that'll help, especially when you're getting into traffic. You'll know where you're braking versus where everybody else is. This will be back down to a third gear turn. Again, another combo, this time right left. So a little bit late of an apex. You can use, if you notice on the curbing here, you can kind of see where the drainage gutter starts. That, since that drainage gutter starts later in the curbing, I kind of use that to kind of help as a reference point of, if I'm going to be touching the curbing, getting on the curbing, it's that drainage grading that I'll be using as a reference there. And try to keep it to as far to the right as you can. If you cut it and you do it halfway, that's fine. You really don't want to bring the car out of this corner more than halfway. Again, it's a combo. Sacrifice your exit on this corner, so you can set up and get maximum benefit out of this corner here. Can use a bit of inside curbing there. Bring it out. Still in third gear, you might bring it back to fourth. And the braking point for me is going to be engaging it with braking line is with that light pole. Somewhere between that light pole and that course condition light with the braking line is where I kind of look to set up for the braking for this hairpin. This one, again, I do this in third, and I hug the inside, hug the inside, hug the inside. I don't, the braking line wants you to bring the car out and then back across. I don't. Usually, I don't know that it's much of an advantage. I usually like hugging the inside line and just having the car out of the corner straight parallel on the right side of the corner, setting up for the chicane. In the Porsche Cayman, the chicane was a bit treacherous. That you had to, it's like you could take it flat, but you had to really have the right line through it. This car, you can take it flat pretty easily. And you can use a bit of curbing on entry and exit, but you can take that flat and fourth. I don't think you get up to fifth by the end of this straight, but then heading into the final corner, again, what I'm looking for with the braking line, if you can just see, again, it's the same thing. This is kind of common on Mugello, but I see this more on this track than most others. Again, you can kind of see the parallel, the perpendicular, that discoloration straight across the track from, is where you could say other cars have bottomed under braking. You can also kind of use that and look for that as a reference. I think you're going to be braking just before the 50 board. Pay attention to that as well. This I do in third gear. I don't have any definitive line here. Sometimes I think a lot of what the game wants you to do is to take a wider entry and a later apex. I've been doing it in third gear, and what I'm trying to look for is, you can kind of reference that. Again, that great, if you want to use that as an apex marker, that would be pretty good. I'm also looking ahead to the exit curbing and kind of where the end of this curbing is pointing. Bring the car out, maybe about halfway down the outside curbing is probably where the ideal place where you're going to exit. Bring it all the way out to the right. If you need to use a little bit of that exit curbing, you can. So that's a lap in Mugello. So again, it's about a minute. I was doing about minute 40. I think it was minute 42s. I think is what I was in there somewhere. The minute 41, minute 42s in my own kind of practice lap. So we're going to go ahead and set up and head into a race, and then see what situations the AI gives us as far as places to pass, what to look for. Still racing P2s out in the front with the early prototypes, and then the P1s. And I think I'm going to do 22 laps. I think that's a good benchmark for a half distance race for what you guys will do on Thursday. Let's go ahead and get started on this. One of those tracks where the Forza AI, they're just places where they're just really slow, and I don't know why. Especially the chicane, they're always extremely slow out of the chicane. Considering I think like these P1 cars, that should be flat for them. P2 cars, it should be flat for them. Well, maybe a slight lift. They should be going a heck of a lot faster than they do. Which then also makes, setting up a pass, it's, it'll be different for me than what you guys will have on Thursday, because y'all will be running. Excuse me, didn't get enough sleep last night. You'll all be running relatively, similar pace. So I'm just trying to buy myself some time before I start racing. A couple of, do we have one of the Nissans? We have. Oh, we might have. That might be. You just barely see the color, but I think we might have one of those. I always find it interesting that front-wheel drive Nissan LMP1 always makes things a little more interesting, just because it's got such great straight line speed, but is even worse in the corners than the other LMP1 cars. And again, yep, I'm back to the controller, so. Late on the brakes there. It's definitely, for me, it's definitely that light pole. And again, for upshifting, my habit is always to wind it out, but I think just because of the twin turbo and the torque, Mike, if you're shifting just above 6,000, I think that'll help. That might help with some of the acceleration when you upshift, because then you'll get a little bit better torque than if you wind it all the way out and then upshift. Oop, he just got on that outside curb. I turned it a little early. Now let's see if we can get a good clean lap here. Brake. We need to do any braking there. And use quite a bit of curb there. That back end wants to step out there. And use quite a bit of curbing through the chicane as well. Three, two, one. No time out there yet. I got a little bit in the grass there. That wasn't the best. A little bit late on the initial turn in. Second part was a little better. Oh, that's really bad. And also diamond that entry a little bit. You want to get the car to the inside. That is not the quickest way through that corner. Yeah, those corners, it's all just going to be about smooth steering and throttle balance. What do you want? 8. Very nice textbook pass by the Porsche. And watch the dive bomb by me. So do what the Porsche does, don't do what I do. Well, don't do... I actually did that fairly decently, but I'm going to take a look. See if I can keep up with him or if he's going to start edging away. I was looking down at the map, just wondering, it's like, wait, he's in front of me. How many other... so most of the LMP1 cars have made their pit. I am driving horribly. Do all that work, and he's just going to pass me here in the front straight. Got a little bit on the outside there. Oh, that was late. I'll run, but I can't really do anything with it. I'm going to pit about lap, I'll pit halfway, so lap 11. In previous laps, I think I used after about 10 laps, I'd burned through about 30% of the fuel. So, I mean, car fuel-wise can easily go, should be able to go half distance, or past half distance. Tire wear, though, fortunately I'm on a controller, so I've got higher tire wear than you guys on the wheel. But in that same 10 laps, my left front was up to about 33%. So I think it's going to be similar to other tracks where, you know, fuel, you can go quite a ways on fuel, but I don't know how much past half distance you're going to be able to go on a set of tires, but it's a little late turn in because I'm watching the guys in front of me. Oh. Trying to move to the outside and overdid it. Oops. I meant to downshift. Try this again. Okay, now I'll go. Move over on me. Should be able to get past Diesel. Yeah, you can just hear that I got the right sides in the gravel. The little pinging of stones underneath the bottom of the car. Should have been third. Less talking, more driving. Try not to run into anybody this time. Two for one. Yeah, so you can, in third, if you're hugging the inside, you roll back into the throttle too quickly, you can get the rear to spin up and have the back end step out a little bit. Not horrible, but again, third gear, hello. And then early again. Excuse me. Don't. Please don't box this lap. Please don't box this lap. Woo! So yeah, obviously you guys can go full throttle in there. Actually, probably one of the easier pits to get in and out of. Yeah. Yeah, typically for me on that pit exit, I want to stay to the right of the white line. And then once I'm past that, then if it's clear, I'll move over to take the racing line. Otherwise, just keep it to the inside. Outside on that turn, maybe not. Now, this turn I would use to set people up. Turn 10 here, if they were slow or bobbled a little bit on the exit. The exit of this corner is one that I would use to try and set people up. Again, because the AI is slow, I can take the outside line. Side by side through the chicane is, if you're going to try and make an inside move into that chicane, you are going to have to let off the gas. There's no way to get through that shallow in and be able to take it full throttle. So if you don't have the move done, if you're not past, probably just best to back out. Set these guys up, and again, the exit of this corner, at least with the AI, a lot of times I look for the crossover. Nope, excuse me. Oh yeah, second gear. That little lift off oversteer there on turn in. Do you see me, please? Nope. Nope. He wasn't going to. There, I just got the right rear just off track, just slightly. I could have left it in third there. I just wasn't sure where he was. So much faster through there. I'll just try and work with the Nissan, get to the front. He's going to get stuck. Oh, nope. Oh. I just duck out there to take a look, just to help me see into the next turn. Wow, look, he's really bottoming through there. I'll do it. Got by him before the chicane. I think I've now put enough distance where even his top end's not gonna. He is not gonna catch me. Of course, I say that. Oops, oops, oops. And certainly he'll catch me if I don't keep it on the track. Ooh, put a snap there. And I don't, if you might, if someone gets it really wrong and they, for those two uphill right-handers, if someone really gets the first one wrong, you might be able to get a run before the second one, but it's risky. Fortunately, I haven't had that situation here. Mostly I've just been catching everybody out of other corners. The understeer of the car is going to make it very difficult to really, in these corners. This one's a little easier to keep it a little more center left. First combo, not so much. That's a little aggressive on my part. Whoa. I left the door open. Fifth, looks like I want to get a freebie hit cycle there. 13 was what? 13 fourth the line. Laps to go. I'm gaining on first. I just don't know if I got enough time. And I still have to get past the other two here. Trying to set up the run. Did not execute it well. Sorry, and I'm going to get them both here after the chicane because, you know. Let me do that again. Whoa! Well, okay, that was... I wasn't expecting the P1 car to pit. I thought he had already... had already gone into the pits. Alright, so at this point, this should be able to inch away from the Nissan behind me. And a little too early there, and that totally throws me off. Alright, I got a clear track in front of me. Let's see if I can do better than, what's the time to beat? 41.8. See if I can, 2 laps to see if I can beat a 41.8. Love those turns. Wow, okay, I was like 2/10 down. late. That's going to cost me. Much as I thought. Was it a 41.7? Let's see where we end up. 41.5. He's throwing the car around. So that's Mugello. Again, it'll be interesting to see how the race goes. But I would just, as far as opportunities for passing and looking for it, it's really just paying attention to what the other guys are doing, how they're hitting the curbs, and how they're exiting. Because I think a lot of passing opportunities are going to be really just capitalizing on people's mistakes and people going off. Again, it's no different than any other race. Just keep it on the track, get in a good pace, and you should be able to move up positions. So with that, hope you guys have a great weekend. I'm actually going to go back and I'm going to continue watching Le Mans, and we'll talk to you guys later. Happy racing.